ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Everyone in India and those who are Indians, they know what is Narsimha Dev, what is Prahlad. And it is very natural for Indian people to know this Lord Ram, Lord Narsimha, Bali Maharaj, Vaman Dev, all is known to people. So, I am today not going to tell you the story of Narsimha Bhagwan, but I'll tell you some abstract stories of Narsimha Bhagwan, which you will love to hear. Narsimha Dev is uh, extremely popular in my hometown. That is, you can say, Udupi, Mulki, Mangalore. Near Udupi, there's a place called Mulki. That is my mother's hometown. My mother was born there and raised over there, and my father was also close by, about 50 kilometers from there. But near Mulki, there are hundreds of villages and hundreds of temples of Narsimhadev. And everybody in the villages is naturally ardent devotees of Narsimha. Because one time they had come to Mumbai to raise some funds for their temple. And when they came to my house, my caste people, they were narrating about Narsingh Bhagwan in our language, Konkani language, so beautifully and so emotionally. I was so overtaken by their ardent devotion to Lord Narsimha Dev. And there are so many unknown temples of Narsimha Dev in that area of Mulki. So today I thought I will tell you the story of Mulki Narsimha Dev, because this Mulki Narsimha Dev Bhagwan is not just a local god, but it is connected with Bhagavatam also. All of you must be knowing that when Prahlad Maharaj uh, got the mercy from Narsingh Bhagwan, and Narsingh Bhagwan killed his father, and there was very loving interaction between Prahlad Maharaj and Narsingh Bhagwan. For a long time they talked to each other, and like a lion licks his cub, baby lion. Narsingh Bhagwan licked Prahlad Maharaj, expressed his love in a unique fashion like a lion, and there was a lot of loving interactions. And it is also said that Narsingh Bhagwan taught yoga to Prahlad Maharaj. So one of the 9 Devs on the Singhachalam mountain is Yoga Narsingha, where Lord Dev is sitting in Padmasan, and he's supposed to be teaching yoga to Prahlad Maharaj. There is supposed to be Pana Narsimha, where he is drinking Panaka and gives a belching sound. Very beautiful and unique. Dhanusha Narsingha also is there. So many Narsimha there. So anyways, when time came to leave, because Narsimha Dev's avatar is not like he stayed for 50 years or 100 years like that. Narsimha Dev came, did his business, spent some time, and he left. So when time came to leave, Prahlad Maharaj was very sad. Having had the darshan and loving interaction after such a long years of tapasya, he was so blissful, but he was not able to believe that Lord is leaving, and Lord had to leave. So he said, "My Lord, I cannot live without you. How will I live? After I have got interaction with you, how will I survive without you?" So he said, the Lord said, "Okay, so I will give my deity to you." So immediately Lord Narsimhadev produced a deity of his own, and that too a deity of very ferocious Narsimha Bhagwan. That is called as Ugra Narsimha Bhagwan. Huh? There is something called as Ugra and something called as Ugrottama Narsimha. That Ugrottama Narsimha is in Mayapur. There also I'll tell some story if time permits to you. But that Ugra Narsimha Dev deity is only a small deity. No? I would say it is not more than 5 inches tall. It's only very small deity, but it is a deity which has got right leg half bent and the left leg is resting on the right thigh, and on that bed created by left resting leg on the right thigh, on that bed Hiranyakashipu is there, and with two arms the Lord is holding the Hiranyakashipu. With two arms the Lord is removing the intestines and wearing it, and the two arms are holding Shankachakra. There are total 8 arms. Huh? So it is a extremely powerful deity with tongue out, and it's a very shining deity. So that deity, Lord Narsimhadev presented to Prahlad. And he said, you worship this deity and I will be with you all the time in the form of this deity. And that's how Narsimhadev departed, and Prahlad Maharaj, whatever number of years he lived in the material world, he was worshipping that deity. And all of you know that after Prahlad Maharaj disappeared, also in the spiritual world, he existed with worshipping this deity. And then what happened was, Virochan was born, and Virochana gave birth to Bali Maharaj, Daityaraj Bali, who is the Acharya for Atma Nivedanam, very powerful devotee of the Lord. Very nice story in the 8th canto of Bhagavatam. So when Bali Maharaj, that story also you all know in detail, but I will tell you a beautiful aspect of the story. When Bali Maharaj was subdued by Vaman Dev and usurped all his kingdom, all his property in 2 steps, and then third step he asked for, and then he offered his head, offered himself in Atma Nivedanam. And Lord Vamanadev was so happy with Bali Maharaj. Externally, it appeared like he was insulting Bali Maharaj. Externally, it looked like he was smashing the ego of Bali Maharaj, completely uh, disrespecting him or humiliating him in front of his family members, in front of demigods, in front of his relatives, wife and sister, everybody. It looked like, a kind of unbelievable humiliation. But actually speaking, internally speaking, the Lord was expressing his highest of all love with Bali Maharaj. And interestingly, when Bali Maharaj, when he was getting dragged by Varuna Pash, by Varuna Dev on the order of Vamana Dev, he was arrested and he was being dragged, tied up. It is explained that Bali Maharaj was experiencing highest of ecstasy of all his life during that time when he was externally being humiliated. So external humiliation and internal blissful state of consciousness of gratitude. This can only happen in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a science where with external horrible miseries one can feel blissful in the heart. That science is called Krishna consciousness science. So Bali Maharaj is an example. Then Bali Maharaj, after the whole thing was over, the Lord blessed Bali Maharaj. And what did Lord say? That he gave, you can read Bhagavatam, there are so many benedictions which Bali Maharaj gave, Bali Maharaj received from Vaman Dev. But the last blessing was that I will personally come to your Sutarloka. I will personally come there and stand as doorkeeper and serve you. And when all these things were happening, Prahlad Maharaj was there. He appeared there along with Vaman Dev to witness the glory of his grandson. And he had brought his deity also with him. And he was witnessing. And the moment he heard that Vamanadev, my Lord, who is not different from Narsimhadev, Vamandev, is going to go to Sutarloka. So he said, why do I worship deity? I will go to Sutarloka with my Lord and be with him personally. So that time, he handed over his deity of Ugra Narsimha to one devotee. and he accompanied Lord Vamanadev to Sutalloka, and Vamanadev and Sutalloka lived together in Sutalloka as doorkeepers. Both of them sat at the door and both of them glorified Bali Maharaj in their discussion with each other. Now there is a connection of the deity of Mulki. This deity finally from Satya Yuga was worshipped by many devotees one after another, and now Kali Yuga came. And in Kali Yuga in 8th century there was one Acharya called Swami Vijayendra Tirtha. Swami Vijayendra Tirtha is a descendant of Swami Rajendra Tirtha, who comes in the disciplic succession of Brahma Madhya Sampradaya. If you see the parampara from Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, after Vyasa, there is one devotee comes, Rajendra Tirtha. And after that, there's a branch, and that branch is supposed to be our caste branch, Gauda Saraswat Brahmin caste. The parampara is connected out to a Brahma Madhva Gauda Sampradaya through Rajendra Tirtha. So one of the descendant guru in the branch of Rajendra Tirtha Swami was Vijayendra Tirtha Swami in the 8th century of Kali Yuga. And he was performing Digvijaya. Digvijaya means traveling in all directions, preaching about the science of bhakti and Krishna consciousness. He was a Vaishnava Acharya. So he had an ashram in Cochin in Kerala. And because he was a sannyasi, he was always moving. He stayed for some time in Cochin ashram. And one day when he was traveling from one place to another on foot, he saw a well. Please listen carefully. He saw a well and he saw a snake at the border of the well. And the snake was moving, making some very amazing movements, very surprising movements, or you can say eye-catching movements, unusual movements. So Swamiji, being a transcendental person, noted that and told his disciples that go and find in this well, something is there in this well. That nag, that snake is indicating that cobra. So the disciples went in the well and they found this deity of Ugra Narsimha, which was worshipped by Prahlad. In some of the ancient books, it is mentioned that this deity was worshipped by Prahlad and was left in the well at one point of time. And the Lord had his own desire to manifest. So this unique way, he manifested to Swami Vijayendra Tirtha. Then Swamiji took the deity to his ashram and started worshipping the deity at the bank of the ocean, where in Cochin it's also at the bank of the ocean. But very unique things were happening with the deity. There were constant fires in the ashram. There were constant quarrels in the ashram, constant disturbance in the ashram. So Swamiji, being a transcendental personality, he could understand that somehow Narsimha Bhagwan is not happy. Because he's not happy, he's angry, and because of his anger, some things are going wrong here. So he tried to correct those things a lot by his understanding. But one day he became really frustrated. He thought that he is not doing good seva to Narsimha Bhagwan. So he thought that I will take you and I will jump in the ocean and commit suicide. He declared to Lord Narsimhadev. At that time, Lord Narsimhadev spoke that there is nothing wrong in your seva, but my desire is to go to Mulki in South Canara, in Karnataka. I want to go there and stay. That's why I'm not happy over here. Please, you take me from here to that place. So immediately he was very happy to know that my Lord is not unhappy with me, but he wants to leave this place. So immediately he took him on his head. Our Swamijis are always walking with deities on the head, and they travel by foot. So from Cochin, they started traveling to north direction, and there is a Podu Panamburu. They traveled long distance of hundreds of kilometers, and each night they would halt in one place, and early morning by doing puja, they will leave. So he was traveling and traveling. Finally, he came to the place called Podu Panamburu. Podu Panamburu is in between Suratkal and Mulki. and Surathkal is in between Mulki and Udupi. So when you go southwards in southern direction from Udupi, you come across Surathkal, you come forward further, you come to a place called Podu Panamburu. Podu Panamburu is a very historic place where when Ravana was coming from Kubera's place after snatching this Pushpaka Viman, he had descended to this place thinking that it is Lanka. This place was very opulent, so it looked like Lanka for him. So he came down only to know that this is not Lanka because there were no demons, only men were there, human beings. But he was very happy with the beauty of this place, so he established one Lord Shiva's temple in Podu Panamburu and he left. Then when Hanumanji was bringing Sanjivani mountain for Lakshmana in the middle of the war, Hanumanji also by mistake got down to this place thinking of it as Lanka. But he also came to know it is not Lanka, but he was very happy to see this place. He touched this place on the ground and again flew in the sky and went to Lanka to cure Lakshman. So this is a brief history of the place. So our Swamiji reached this place. And at that time, one Jain king was ruling that place. Our village, there are many places which were ruled by Jain kings in the past. So he, as usual, reached there in the evening and he wanted to take shelter in the night time and leave early morning. It was only 12 kilometers away from the actual place called Mulika Kshetra. Mulika Kshetra is at the banks of Shambhavi river, very holy river and a holy place where the Lord wanted to reach finally. It was only 12 kilometers, but it was already dark in the night. So Swamiji requested the king, can I stay in your place for the night so that I can go in the morning and reach Mulika Kshetra? The king was something was wrong in his consciousness. So he said, who are you? I don't even know who are you. How will I give shelter to you, unknown person? Please don't stay here. So he told him that my Lord is with me. I want to wait with the Lord. He still say no. Then Swamiji was convinced that this king is having wrong consciousness, not a right consciousness. I should not take shelter with him, even though I am in a difficulty. I will walk in the night. So he said, okay, you're not allowing me to stay with you. At least give me a torchlight. Give me a mashal. So I will walk in the night with the light of the mashal. I will travel the distance in the night only and reach early morning to Mulika Kshetra. Today is Mulki. The king refused even to give that mashal also. So then the Swamiji was desperate. He said, I don't want to stay even one moment in this place. He's so impious. I don't want to stay here for one moment. I will walk in the dark by the mercy of the Lord. And as soon as Swamiji left in the dark to the direction of Mulika Kshetra, the whole palace of the king went on fire by the will of the Lord. The whole palace was ablaze and such a big flame was created, right touching the skies, that flame created light for 12 kilometers of distance. The king refused to give flame. The Lord created flame by burning the palace of the king, that rascal king. And when that whole light was created by the flame, the Swamiji walked very fast, taking benefit of the light, and reached Mulika Kshetra in the middle of the night. And here, the whole palace was burnt to ashes. And then Swamiji went and he put Narsimhadev in the village somewhere. Wherever he kept, there was fire. Wherever he kept, there was fire. So he was wondering, I have reached Mulika Kshetra now. My Lord, where do you want to stay? He said, I want to stay at the banks of Shambhavi river. Bring me to that place. So he was brought to that place where today the huge temple is there of Narsimha. He was brought to that place and he was established where, and after establishing over there was no more fires. The Lord actually indicated that this is the place he want to go and stay. So Lord is now there. So Mulki Ugra Narsimha temple is very, very famous in South India. And he was established on the day of Datta Purnima, Margashirsha Purnima. On this particular day, the Lord was installed over there. He was given Abhishek of thousands of coconuts of water, and he was served unlimited food items, and there was a big festival of fireworks, and there was Rath Yatra on the day of Pratishtha. So in our language, it's called Pratishte Punnava. That means the Purnima on which Pratishtha was done. And today also on Margashirsha Purnima, Datta Purnima day, there's a great whole day long celebration of the Lord's Brahmotsava. And the Lord has silver palanquin. The Lord has pure gold palanquin. The Lord has pure gold ratha. The Lord has pure chandi ratha. The Lord has got unlimited gold and silver ornaments. There are treasures and there are storehouses in the temple complex. The temple complex is at least 25 acres in area. It has got many circles, and in each circle, the pujaris of the Narasimhadev stay. And in our village, it is said that nobody can perform any drama of Narsim Bhagwan. Why? Because when the Lord was established, when the first Narasimha Jayanti came, the first one, naturally all of you know that all of us perform Narasimha drama. Every temple, everywhere, wherever Narasimha Jayanti is there, they perform the drama, and the pillar breaking and Lord coming out and tearing the Narasimha Hiranyakashipu apart, and Prahlad coming and garlanding him. All of us know that story. That drama is very famous drama. Everybody is very eager to perform that drama. So naturally, the first Narasimha Jayanti came after that Pratishtha of the Lord. They also put up a drama, and they performed the drama. And when the time came for Narasimha Dev, the actor, to tear apart the abdomen of Hiranyakashipu, the actor, Narasimha Dev entered in the body of that personality, that man. With that Avesha, this actor actually tore apart the abdomen of Hiranyakashipu. Actually on the stage, he tore him apart, and there was a bloody mess on the stage, and the person died on the stage. And this person was still in the Avesh. He was shaking and trembling in completely, horrible condition. So he was arrested by police and he was put in the jail. And somehow everybody convinced the court that he was not in his senses. Lord Narasimhadev entered in him and everything, whatever. By the mercy of the Lord, he was saved. And he came back. And then Ram Navami came at one point of time. And he acted as Dashrath in that drama. And when he acted as Dashrath, he actually died on the stage in the Viraha of Lord Ram. He actually died. And that time, even the police station people got convinced he was not at fault. He was somehow getting completely immersed in the role that he was playing. This is one story. That is why that time onwards, in our village, nobody performs Narasimha drama. No one ever performs in the fear that Lord Narasimha will enter in the body of the actor of Narasimhadev. So if you go to Mulki and nearby villages, they are ardent devotees of Narasimhadev, but they will never perform the drama of Narasimhadev. That is one reason. If you give anybody in the village of my village a picture of Narasimhadev, for example, one time the devotees from Mulki Narasimhadev temple, the Samsthan, the trust, they came to Mumbai to raise some funds. So they came to my house, had prasadam, and we had nice talk, and they were describing about Narasimhadev's glory and all stories. I was just like wonderstruck to hear their stories. And then I also told story of our Narasimhadev in Mayapur. And with great love and affection, I gave them photographs of calendar of Narasimhadev of Mayapur present. So they told me very interesting thing. He in all the area of Mulki village and in all the villages around Mulki, everybody is an ardent devotee of Narasimhadev, but you will not find any photograph of Narasimhadev on anybody's wall in anybody's house. Because if any of us will put any picture of Narasimhadev on the wall, our house will go on fire. So we have experienced this in the past generations. That is why none of us hang any picture of Narasimhadev on the wall of our house. So I said, what you will do? I have given picture to you. He said, all the pictures that we receive, we go and hang in the temple of Narasimhadev in Mulki temple. So if you go to Mulki temple, you will find the wall has got hundreds of pictures of calendars of Narasimhadev. Because wherever they will go, they will receive a gift, they will go and put it in temple. That is how the glory of our village is. And this Narasimhadev is bathed in coconut water and Panchamrita every year on the Pratishtha Punna. Of course, they worship and bathe him regularly also. But on the day of Pratishtha, that is Margashirsha Purnima, the deity of Narasimhadev is brought out in the plate of bronze, and publicly they offer him hundreds of liters of Abhishekam. And in that it is said that thousands of coconut are broken and the Lord is given Abhishek to cool him down. In early morning they offer him Ganji Bhoga. It's very famous. Ganji Mahaprasad breakfast is very, very popular there. And today also the culture in the temple is that whoever will go, anybody, unknown person, known person from any caste, if they go to Mulki during Rajabhoga Arti, then whatever number of people may be there, everybody is called for Mahaprasad in the afternoon, free of charge. They will tell everybody, please come and take prasad. And everybody will have a very beautiful South Indian Konkani Rajbhog Mahaprasad. So this is the story of our Ugra Narasimha in Mulika Kshetra. So several times when I have taken yatra from Bhaktivedanta Hospital, I have taken 200-250 devotees to this temple, and it's a very glorious place actually. You know, it makes me feel so joyous from within when I talk about this Ugra Narasimha at Mulki. It's a very beautiful holy place, and there is one more place called Marur. Marur, it's about 25 kilometers eastwards from Mulki. There also Lakshmi Narasimha deity is there, very ancient deity is there. And now, of late, in last 10 years, with our help and everybody together, a beautiful temple is made for Lakshmi Narasimha Dev. And I had gone there with Yatra after the eye camp with many doctors on the Ganesh Chaturthi day. And you know, Ganesh Chaturthi is celebrated in Narasimha temple in a very gorgeous way. Why is that? Because if you read the shloka in Brahma Samhita about Lord Ganesh, I don't remember right now, where it is mentioned in the shloka that the position of Vignaharta, the power of removing the obstacles, Vigna, or difficulties in the path of spiritual progress, the power of being Vignaharta is achieved by Lord Ganesha by accepting the two lotus feet of Narasimhadev on the head of Lord Ganesha. The shloka actually means that on the tumuli on the head of Lord Ganesha, he is holding the two lotus feet of Narasimhadev, and thus he derives the power of being Vignaharta, because Lord Narasimhadev is the original Vignaharta, original personality who removes the obstacles on the path of devotees' progress. That's why Ganesh Jayanti is celebrated very nicely over there. So I had gone there with the doctors of Bhaktivedanta Hospital on the Ganesh Jayanti day. And the kind of festival I observed on that day was amazing festival of Ganesh Jayanti, worshipping Narasimhadev on Ganesh Jayanti and worshipping Ganesh also on Ganesh Jayanti. And the feast that they served us was unbelievable, unbelievable feast. There are specific items for Narasimhadev, there are specific items they make for Ganesha's pleasure, and the feast was a mixed feast of Narasimha Mahaprasad and Ganesh Mahaprasad. Amazing place. So each and every place is a very, inconceivable, mystical place where many mystical things happen in that village, which we cannot tell now, that time is very short. But the Lord is very active there, very potentially active, And there are families. There is a particular families in Marur or in Manjeshwara or in Mulki or in Udupi or in Kalyanpura or in Kundapura. The Lord comes in the body of some Brahmin families. Those who are very strict in following the rules and regulations as per Narsimha deity worship. In a particular family, when they are following the rules and regulations very genuinely for years after years, in that generation after generation, the Lord's assistants called Ganas, the Lord's assistant devatas, they come in the body of the person. And when he enters the body on a particular day with mantras, and the person forgets who he is, and the Lord speaks through him. And people go and ask questions about their life, difficulties, everything, and perfect answer is given. Like after I joined Hare Krishna, I went to one of the ceremonies like that. That is called darshan. I went to one of the darshans and I wanted to just ask some question to understand what is all about. Because from childhood I am hearing about this darshan coming in the body of a person. So I went and asked a genuine question, which I genuinely had, that how do I develop taste for reading scriptures? I can hear for hours, but I have no taste for reading for hours. And I want to develop taste for reading. How do I develop taste for reading? So the Lord, in the form of that person, answered me, please read 30 minutes every single day without fail. You like it or don't like it. If you read it, read the scripture, you select a scripture and read 30 minutes every day, you will develop the taste for reading scriptures. And I followed that, and it is true that I have developed some taste for reading. So there's no question that I should not keep faith or I should doubt that tradition there. It's a local tradition, and the villagers never go out of their village to ask any question to anybody. Their end point is that darshan on Wednesday and Saturday, and they will put up all their questions, material questions, family questions, financial questions, spiritual questions, all questions they will put up to the Lord on Wednesday and Saturday, and that's it. And whatever answer they will receive, they will follow as the highest pramana, as Lord's order. That's how the whole village life is. And I could understand the glory of our Vaishnav culture. The whole unit of village was self-sufficient even from spiritual point of view. From food point of view, from society point of view, from intellectual point of view, from spiritual point of view, the whole unit of a village was complete. Nobody had to travel from one place to another for any queries or any difficulties. So, like that, there are so many miraculous, mysterious situations in our village as far as Narsinga Dev is concerned. Now, let us go to Mayapur Narsimha Dev. And there are many stories in ISKCON of Narsimha Dev as per se. Srila Prabhupada established Narsimha Dev's worship, puja, morning and evening in each and every temple. Whichever temple Prabhupada started, Prabhupada insisted that devotees should sing Narsimha Arati, one part from Vedas and one part from Jayadev Goswami's Dashavatara Stotra. So what we sing is two things. What we sing is the first part is um, uh, Namaste Narsingaya Praladalalayine. That part is from Vedas. Some Puran it is, I don't remember. And the next part, Tavakara Kamala Vare, it is from Dashavatara Stotra. So Prabhupada ji combined these two things and made a Narsimha prayer for us to sing in Narsimha Arti every single day, morning and evening. Because there are so many difficulties Prabhupada faced. And he had faith that if I will make my devotees sing Narsimha Arati morning and evening, my devotees will be protected. So at places like New Vrindavan, he established huge deities of Narsimha Dev also. And in ISKCON, there are unlimited stories of Narsimha's miracles. Even much before Narsimha Dev appeared in Mayapur. One time in America, one girl, small girl, left her house, and she was just like, how children are loitering, sometimes they go ahead, and then she went to the main road. She went to the highway And a small girl, innocent girl, not very mature to understand what road, highway is. Suddenly a very high speed, because roads in America are very good. So high speed truck came, and the girl happened to be on the middle of the road, and the truck dashed her, and she flew in the sky in a parabolic way. She actually had a parabolic path in the air, and she was thrown on the other side of the road, and she was supposed to be totally smashed actually. But when she flew in the sky in a parabolic way and fell on the other side of the road, she was absolutely fine, dancing, singing songs. So when parents came running, they thought our girl is dead. So girl is smiling. So she said, they said, what happened? What were you doing on the road? And what happened? How did you fly? He said, one lion came and lifted me from the middle of the road, and he flew with me and dropped me on the other side of the road. And I know that lion. The lion is Narsimha Dev. I could very much identify him. He was so much lovingly holding me in my hand, and he carried me all the way across the road, and I did not get injured at all. Then, at many times when devotees were prosecuted, they saw, a blurred lion picture protecting them, and the police sometimes could not see the devotees because the lion was coming in between the police and the devotees could escape. So many devotees are telling these stories. Our Nartaki Mataji also told one story one time that they were distributing books in Australia, and the police came because they're not allowed publicly to distribute books. So police wanted to catch them. So they all jumped in the car and started running away. And police started chasing them. So suddenly the police started seeing a ferocious lion on the viewing glass. When they would start going ahead, and suddenly they would see in the viewing glass, they would see the ferocious face of a lion. And constantly they saw the side mirror and the rear mirror. And they were so scared, they stopped the chase and they went behind, and the devotees ran away. So, like that, there are many stories. So, now finally, when Prabhupada established Mayapur, only land, land, and land. So, before that, when Prabhupada came, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati established Chaitanya Mutt. And in Chaitanya Mutt, he revealed Radhakund, Shamkund, Giri Govardhan. He also established his Guru Maharaj Samadhi, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Samadhi. He established Radha Gandharvika, Giridhari, deities over there. So at one time, Bengal being very populated with Muslim people, the Muslim aggressors came and attacked Chaitanya Mutt. And that time, Thakur Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that we should establish Varaha Narsimha Dev here. He will protect us. So he established Varaha Narsimha Dev. So after that, there was no attack in Yoga Pit also and in the Chaitanya Mutt also. So similarly, Prabhupada took land in nearby that place, about 10 minutes walk today also. And when foreigners started coming there, young beautiful American girls started coming there, so the local Muslims got agitated, and with weapons they attacked Mayapur community, and they misbehaved with ladies, and there was a war, and the devotees also used knives and everything, and there was a big fight over there. The Muslim invaders, they wanted to strip the ladies naked. It was a very fierce war. And then Bhavananda Prabhu and many devotees took up their guns and shot and chased them away. And then they had a big discussion that we should have a Narsimha deity over here. Following the footsteps of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, we should have Narsimha deity over here. And that's how there's a long story how Narsimha deity came. And this Narsimha deity is Ugrottama Narsimha, not Ugra Narsimha. Because the deity has just, Lord has just come out of the pillar. He has not yet killed Hiranyakashipu. All his superlative anger, the supreme most anger is still not, satisfied, or called channelized. So that ferocious Ugra Narasimha deity, which has just come out of the pillar, that was designed because that was the form Lord came in one of the devotees' life in the dream and exhibited that form. And that devotee drew the picture of that form, that Lord wants to come in this form. So they drew that form and they showed the Stapati in Chennai, in Madras. And the Stapati said that this particular form is not even worshipped by demigods. There's nobody on earth in the history of mankind. There's no reference of worshipping this kind of Narsimhadev. Every Narsimhadev is tearing the abdomen apart of Hiranyakashipu. That means some of the anger is channelized. He's not that Ugra. He's Ugra, but not that Ugra, like before even attacking Hiranyakashipu. So they refused. Finally, long story is there. You can read it nicely. Narsimhadev appeared and was established in Mayapur. And there are so many stories. One of the stories I must tell you, that when Narsimhadev came in Mayapur, there were strict rules from scriptures who can worship Narsimhadev. Only a brahmachari who is a Nashtika brahmachari can worship Narsimhadev. Plus, Narsimhadev was very ferocious, so no devotee was willing to offer himself as a pujari. So the popular vote was taken, who wants to worship, nobody came forward. So finally, Pankajangri Prabhu was ordered that you have to worship Narsimhadev. And somehow he also took it upon himself. And then Narsimhadev started showing miracles. One day, one lady devotee, Western devotee, came and told Pankajangri Prabhu and Janannivas Prabhu that I got a dream yesterday night. And in my dream, Narsimhadev came. And Narsimhadev was walking with me in the fields, holding my hand in his hand, like a father taking a child. And he walked with me for a long time. And then he came across mango groves. And he told that American lady that I love mangoes. Why don't you feed me mangoes? So that lady was narrating the dream. So she said, I want to serve mangoes to the Lord. But that was not a mango season. So Janannivas Prabhu said that maybe some cold storage or something like that you will get. Somehow she went to Kolkata and she found mangoes. Somehow. And she brought the mangoes. And the mangoes were offered to Narsimhadev. And Narsimhadev was very happy. And Mahaprasad was given to everybody. And then that lady told Janannivas Prabhu and Pankajangri Prabhu, the dream is not complete. I will have to narrate you more. Lord Narsimhadev said something more also. He said that I love your pujaris of my pujaris in Mayapur. The two brothers who worship me, I love them very much, and I will take one of them. I will like to take one of them away. So I told that lady I told Lord that we love them very much. Please don't take them away. So Lord said, okay, I will not take them away, but in that place I will take one of your leaders of ISKCON. And that time there was GBC meeting going on in Mayapur, and all the GBCs were there in Mayapur. And that same time, she told Janannivas Prabhu and Pankajangri Prabhu, and Lord said, I will not take the pujaris, my pujaris. I will but take one of the leaders of ISKCON. And in the same time, within 2-3 days, Gaur Govinda Maharaj was giving Krishna Katha in the assembly of devotees during the GBC meetings. And during Katha only, maybe in 1992, during Katha only, he got chest pain and immediately realized that he's going. He told his devotee followers that, Nam karo, Nam karo, Nam karo. So immediately he started chanting Hare Krishna and he left in the middle of the class only. So Lord Narsimhadev had predicted that I will take one of your leaders. And sure enough, Lord Narsimhadev took our dear His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj in 1992. Later on, Many other brahmacharis were recruited for the worship of Narsimhadev, and some of the devotees were very scared because the room was in black tiles, dark color tiles. Deity is ferocious and also in black color marble, black color stone. So while putting the deity on the rest in the night, there would be nobody because everybody has gone away. Darshan is closed. You are inside the temple room, alone with Lord Narsimhadev. So the devotee would tremble, and sometimes he would hear horrible roaring sounds while he would do his Shayan Seva. So he would really tremble and he would tell Jananivas Prabhu and Pankaj many times, I'm very scared. So one day he was really scared. He got horrible sounds he heard. And somehow he managed and he closed the temple and he ran away to his brahmachari ashram to sleep. When he slept, within no time, he was sleeping on a bunk bed, on the upper bed on the bunk. He realized that in the middle of the night, the whole bunk was shaking like anything. And because of shaking, he woke up. And he woke up to see that Lord Nrsimhadev was on him like this. His two jaws, or paws, two arms, you can say, two palms were holding his shoulders, pushing him in the bed. And Lord was on his abdomen. And Lord's nails entered in his shoulders, pierced in the shoulders. And he's asking, why are you scared? What is the need of getting scared? I am your loving father. Please do not get scared. So he was like completely sweating and fearful and drenched in sweat. And after some time, by assuring that don't worry, there's no need to get scared, the Lord disappeared. And he saw that devotee's name is like Namdhari, I think. I forgot his name, brother. Pankaj Angri Prabhu narrates the story, and I heard the name not very clearly. Maybe Namdhari. So that Namdhari Prabhu, when he woke up, he saw the finger marks, the nail marks on his front of his shoulder. And naturally, he was only wearing a small kopin in the night and sleeping. He got so excited after this dream that he started running from his ashram to the temple back and forth in the middle of the night, shouting and making very unusual sounds. He was running, running, and running. He ran back and forth to temple room and to the Brahmacharya ashram whole night till it was 4 o'clock in the morning when devotees started coming to temple. And the temple was opened and he attended the arti in Kopin, and he was still shouting and jumping. After a long time, he came back to his senses and he was telling that why everybody is looking at me. The devotee said, look down. So he realized that he was in Kopin. And in the Kopin only he was dancing the whole night and whole in the morning. So that time he narrated a dream, the devotees. At one time, one lady, she was an artist, she would make some gems and cut the gems and everything. So she had some eye problem. So she went and told Narsimhadev, please help me restore my vision. And then her vision was restored after the prayers. And then she said, I want to offer some gift to Narsimhadev. So she made a very beautiful lotus-like eyes with the gems, with the gem. And she offered to Jandanivas Prabhu. And she said that, please wear these eyes to the Lord. It's my offering of love, of gratitude. So Jandanivas Prabhu and Pankaj Prabhu were not so favorable to change the eyes, but looking at the sentiment of this lady, they changed the eyes. And the eyes were like very mild and soft and very peaceful looking lotus-like eyes. So the lady came again for darshan, and somehow she happened to be alone that time. So she heard a sound, very grave and loud sound. Give my eyes back. So she looked here and there, there was nobody. She again started praying. Again she heard, please give my eyes back. The third time she understood that the Lord only is speaking. So she was confused and very scared. So she said, what do I do, my Lord? He said, go to Pujaria, go to the Pujari room and tell the Pujaris to change my eyes. He said that I am supposed to be Ugra Narsimha and I cannot have lotus eyes. It doesn't go with my mood. So she went running to the Pujari room, Brahmachari ashram. And she called Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajangri Prabhu out. And that time he told, I was telling you that the Lord's mood is Ugra Narsimha. He cannot wear soft eyes. So they immediately went and changed. And then again the lady came to darshan and there was no sound. And the Lord was again happy to wear his red, ferocious eyes. So like that, there are many, many stories. I think time is up. I have to go to my counseling meeting. So if time permits, we will meet again and go on narrating Lord Narasimhadev's glories.
Yes,
Lord
Prabhuji.
Narasimhadev is very personal Lord. He's very much present there. Jagrut Devata.
Yeah.
And one can pray to Lord Narasimhadev and you can see the response from him. Bolo Narasimhadev Bhagavan ki jai.
Jai. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. We really enjoy this Lord Narsingadev pastime. Please, next month when you come, we can have some question and answer.
Yes.
Yeah. And also some other story about Narsingadev you can continue.
There are unlimited stories, Prabhuji. Don't worry. Narasimhadev
Yeah,
Bhagavan ki jai.